haven't done a sketchbook tour in a long while, and I just finished this big one, so I want to show it to you. Right, so here's the book. It's an A4 sized Leuchtturm, so it's pretty big for me, and the only reason I used this one is because I got it as a gift from someone who had no use for it. I would have never gotten this for myself. To be quite honest, the color isn't my thing, and the size isn't my thing, and the paper I don't really like because it can't handle water, and I like to use water media in my sketchbook, or really all kinds of media. But as you can see, I did kind of make it mine. Yeah, I decorate my sketchbooks with stickers, washi tape, and here I also used acrylic markers. For a while I kind of thought, oh, it looks so unprofessional and childish with all those stickers, and maybe I want to try and have my sketchbooks look more clean and professional and not use as many bright colors. But then that really just made me feel really sad and didn't feel like me. So now I just do it again. I always put the date when I started, and then I add the finished date when I'm actually finished. So you can see this took about a year. This list of sketch ideas I added quite late, and to be honest, I also never used it, but I think just writing it down helped me to remember some things that I can sketch when I run out of ideas. Right, so because I didn't like the paper, and right around the time that I got the sketchbook, I also got the Scott Robertson How to Draw book. It's like the resource on perspective drawing and technical drawing, which isn't really what I do or even want to do, but I think it's important to have an understanding of the fundamentals, even if I'm not going to draw a perfect perspective grid every time or ever. But it really helps to have it done once and go through all the exercises, which is what I did here. And you might think, oh, this looks really boring and repetitive. And I mean, it is, but there's also a kind of fun in it. I mean, math class was sometimes fun. I liked geometry. And yeah, I mean, I had the intention of just going through the whole book. And here you can see how far I got. I still want to finish it, but then I really got the itch to draw faces again. Then, because I knew that this paper wouldn't like water, I just went ahead and did it anyway to sort of break the barrier and be like, okay, this paper is wavy now, I don't care. Now I can do whatever I want with it. So yeah, I went in with some gouache and watercolor, and I was really out of practice. If you have seen some of my old sketchbooks, you know that my pages used to look really much more full than this. Every corner filled in with little things and little ideas, and I really liked that, but for some reason I stopped, especially the last few years during the pandemic, and I don't know, I was depressed. And I didn't enjoy drawing faces as much, and then I got worse at drawing faces. And then when you're not good at something, it makes it less fun. Actually, the color you're seeing throughout this, and even some of the washi tape, I added all of that later. So at the start, it really looked sad and black and white. But later on, I got these fun flowery washi tapes. And by the way, for these simple flat colors, I like to use the water-based Tombow pens. And it's not really coloring in, I mean, it's just but it's great to get a sense of silhouette and just make the page more interesting, or make the little thumbnails more readable. Here I was out sketching with friends, I can tell because I drew one of them. This is Shmoo Draws on Instagram. And also we were at a cafe, so these are some people that were sitting there, but also some people just from imagination. Most of the faces I draw are from imagination, or I start with the person, but I don't want to stare at them. This little building was set up next to the cafe, probably as some kind of market. I don't actually know, but I just thought it looked fun, kind of like a video game location. So here I was drawing plants and playing more with watercolor again, playing with shapes, compositions. Here I remember drawing these during design history class at uni. I study illustration. So here I was just taking some inspiration from like poster design. There's a little wonky house. I always enjoy drawing those, but I still need to find the perfect wonk factor. Here's some notes on an animation class project I didn't end up finishing because I got kind of overwhelmed, but yeah. And here's the reason why I don't normally color my sketches with Copics, but rather with these water-based ones, because as you can see, this green one is the water-based one and the alcohol-based ones obviously bleed through. And then I don't want to constantly worry about, oh, am I ruining a sketch that I like from the other page? But here I was sitting in a park with some friends, and there was like a medieval event going on. So some people were dressed up and there was a dog, and so I just sketched some of them. And here's some horses. I love drawing horses. I can never get enough of them. I like this sketch too, even if the colors maybe turned out a bit weird. But here I was using an acrylic marker. I had some of them previously, but I just now really got into them. Here's some gouache again. I quite like this little sketch. I think the clouds turned out nice. And here I was drawing again during class. Sometimes you just see a drawing you did and you remember exactly where you were. Maybe even what you were listening to. I remember this was when someone held a presentation about vintage jewelry. I wrote lead pouring because that's what these shapes kind of reminded me of while I was drawing them. And so I kind of embraced it. By the way, if the book looks a bit dirty to you, that's just because I'm the kind of person I like to carry my sketchbook everywhere. So that's just a normal thing for it to get maybe a bit dirty or for some of the colors to get a bit smudged. Here I drew with the thin side of one of those gray Tombow markers, and I kind of like the soft but still clear look it gives. And for these little thumbnails, once again, there was a presentation in design history class about packaging design. I also like these hands. I like drawing hands, even if they can be tricky, but I think it's fun. All the shapes and knuckles. Here I was thinking, hey, I have a big sketchbook, but I still always draw pretty small on the page, so what if I try drawing bigger? And then I immediately remembered why I don't like drawing big. I just get super impatient with it. I don't know, I just find it really annoying and I'd rather draw small. And I think my drawings look better small, and obviously they look better when I'm having fun. Here I was traveling by sailboat to one of the German islands called Juist, and then some of the other islands as well. But the sketches that look like pencil are actually drawn with darker colors of polychromos colored pencils. I just said, yeah, my sketchbook is kind of smudged and dirty, but I mean, that happens. I don't really mind it, but I do mind the smudginess that pencil gives. That I do mind the specific kind of smudginess that you get with pencil. And it's not like I'm erasing anyway. Also, I'm quite heavy-handed while drawing. Pencil, when you press down really hard and use soft leads, it gets like reflective and shiny, and I don't like that. But yeah, for the most part, as you can see, I like to sketch in gel pens and fine liner anyway, or just in ink. This drawing schmödet in my sketchbook. Yeah, so I didn't want to clutter the page much after that. I think she was just trying out the paper after I complained about it. These two I definitely copied from Pinterest and used some, I don't know if it was watercolor or gouache to color it. I enjoy the kind of simplified effect it gives with just the line art and color. And here you can see me just like playing around with color. And this is an exercise I can really recommend if you're struggling with color, even if you don't really like abstract art. I don't honestly like it either. Sometimes just isolating a thing that you're maybe not that comfortable with or that good at, like just seeing how the colors work together, and in case of traditional media, just the pigments and how they mix and everything and how they layer. It can be a good exercise to just learn that one thing on its own. Here I was doing a little bit of figure drawing with just a video. by a creator here on YouTube. And yeah, it's just a couple poses with like a flower theme, so I ended up doodling flowers over it, and I just got these cute little washi tapes. So also just to test them out, I guess, I just put some here. More faces, also drawing a little bit bigger, although I don't hate this mermaid that much, I gotta say, even though it's bigger. I do hate some of these faces up here though. I like the one that I colored in, and you can often tell which drawings I like because I tend to add color to the drawings that I like because that like gives more attention to them. Here I was again drawing some friends. There's Shmu again. Oh, and this is Olga, or Azu Rocks on Instagram, from behind. But I can still tell it's her. Playing around with some more shapes. I really need to get better at the idea of like big, medium, small. Oh right, this was the day when I went to the art store and got a whole bunch of stuff. So after like depriving myself of color for the longest time, this was actually the day that I got myself these acrylic markers, and here I was like trying out the colors that I got, and I don't know, just went crazy with it. Here's the washi tape and just like some colors. And there's some ponies, because ponies are very fun to draw. That day I just went to an art store in Hamburg and ended up sitting at the Jungfernstieg and like drawing. Here I was doing the shapes first and then adding heads and faces to them. And then afterwards I got all these markers and stuff. I like went back, except for the pages where there's gouache, I had that before, but like stuff like this, I just added some color. Yeah, and here you can really see me using all the stuff I got, like the post-its, for no reason really other than it just adds a bit of color. The markers and everything. Here again trying to draw bigger, but this time with like a thicker fine liner, because I think one thing that annoys me about drawing big is also that it makes the lines thinner in comparison. So I often, when drawing bigger, I end up just using bigger pens as well, or thicker pens. I think you can really tell that this is... Can you tell that this is my hand? Yeah, and I think I saw this house on Pinterest. Yeah, sometimes I also just write down random words that for whatever reason someone near me is just saying. Or I often watch YouTube videos while drawing, and then, I don't know, sometimes I write down random stuff. Most of these faces that I draw really have nothing much to say. They're not like characters or anything. Yeah. Here I was copying some Ian McKay drawings because I really admire him. Like his buildings are always really interesting to me, so I copied some just to see what he's doing. Because then you kind of speak the same language. Yeah, at that point I was thinking, oh, maybe I want to try Inktober, but I know it's a lot of like, commitment. But I ended up doing Inktober, though I did it digitally. But my first idea was to make it more like sketchbook style with ink. So this was kind of like a test for it, to see if I thought I could do it. But I don't know, I didn't feel like the drawing quality too much. Although looking back, I think it's not that bad. Maybe I'll do a proper Inktober this year. Again, trying some color with gouache. I really like the like mint and orange combination. And I also really like red and purple. Those two combinations I just like use a lot. And here I was waiting for my Baldur's Gate game to load, and this is like the starting screen. And I liked how there were reds, so I drew some more reds while I was waiting for the game to load. Takes a long time to load for me, but at least I got some red friends out of it. Ignore this, it's just like some warm-up or whatever. Probably wasn't feeling like drawing that day. Here I was thinking about joining Ludum Dare with the theme of limited space. It's a game jam. And I was thinking about making a game where you sort animals on a farm and they want to go to sleep and you have to sort like the chickens on the, I don't know, place where they sit. And then when you drag them, they change shape, and then you have to like puzzle them together. I think the idea is really cute, but I couldn't figure out how to program it because I'm not really a programmer. And I didn't have any programmer joining me in my team. Here's some notes. I think these colors here turned out kind of fun. Again, that's acrylic marker and the Tombos, and like combining them. You can probably really tell my favorite colors from this. Here's some ponies again. Whenever I'm like in a mood to play with colors, that's mostly the same mood I'm in when I want to draw ponies. Because like they're colorful and fun and they have chunky little legs. Here I must have gotten some glitter glue, but didn't like how it looked too much. I think that day I did like 3 or so spreads. Oh, and here I was watching Heartstopper, the Netflix series, based on the comic. I didn't read the comic, but I thought the series was quite cute. So, I don't know, maybe if you've watched it you can tell which some of these characters are. I don't normally do any fan art or anything, but in that case I was just like sitting at home on the couch, binging Netflix, but also like wanting to draw, so I just drew some of the characters. During this time is also where I started watching some of Gel Art's sketchbook videos here on YouTube, which is why I started drawing all these animals. I don't draw animals that much, except horses. So yeah, here I was drawing my cat who's meowing because she wants to go on the balcony. There's some project notes. Here I was actually going outside to sketch for once, which is something I really want to do more. I mean, I take my sketchbook with me and draw on the train, but then I just draw something from its imagination because obviously the train is moving too fast. But in this case I was like drawing what's really there outside, which I really want to do more, but it's kind of hard to find like the time and the headspace, and it's been winter for like 5 years. These lions are cute. Yeah, maybe I will go outside more when it gets a bit warmer again. Here I was thinking about proportions, which is also part of my mysterious game project. I mean, I tend to draw somewhat realistic proportions, but for my game I want them a bit more cartoony, because I think it will fit better and look better when it's animated and stuff. So I ended up thinking like, yeah, 5.5 heads tall, about this kind of proportion I kind of like, but maybe even a bit shorter, maybe even more like 4 heads. And then I went live drawing for the first time in ages. I used to do it a lot, especially in the first few semesters of studying illustration, because they just make you do that. But I mean, I like it too, it's fun and it helps me a lot. And with live drawing, if you've never done it, you often start with very short poses, so sometimes 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes, then 3 minutes, which at that time feels like an eternity. So suddenly I have like time for shading, even though I feel like if I started with just 3 minutes, I would feel like I wouldn't have time for anything. Project notes, thinking about composition and puzzle design, and the occasional ponies. Here I guess I felt like drawing big again, even though I can tell I got impatient and then didn't add much detail. I don't know, when I'm drawing small, I feel like I can add way more detail, even if I guess it doesn't really make sense. And here it seems I also got some metallic paints I wanted to try out. Here, listening to a presentation again, taking some notes, and also doodling while the guy was presenting about programming. I don't know, I can listen better and retain more information when I'm writing and drawing on paper rather than like taking notes digitally. And here again, different presentation about board game prototyping. Here I must have been watching Wednesday. I just told you, like, I don't really draw fan art, but sometimes if I really like a character or some character, I don't know, it's not even just liking a character, I think it's just some type of characters make me want to draw. I don't know, maybe you can relate to that. The style is kind of creepy, but also kind of looks cool. I don't know, I was trying to push like some shapes more, trying how a face would look if I make like the actual features bigger, so more stylized. Oh, and here we were starting to think about drawing every day in 2024, we meaning a Discord community I'm part of. So I don't know, it seemed really daunting to me, and so I wrote a list of stuff to fall back on when I wouldn't know what to draw, and that ended up also being the list that I showed you in the beginning. But like I said, I don't really even use that list. I mean, sometimes I think back on it when I'm like, oh, today I want to draw something new or learn something or draw something I like don't normally draw. But honestly, there's always stuff to draw, and if you draw the same thing over and over again, then you get really good at drawing that one thing. And there's always new media to try and color combinations and media combinations. So yeah, here you can see I wrote 2024 January, and I did my first full page of the year and then committed to the sketchbook challenge, and I'm proud to say that so far, I mean it's March now as I'm recording this, I have drawn every single day of the year, which I don't know if I've ever gone that long with drawing every day. I mean, I used to draw a lot. Oh, here I'm getting like back into Scott Robertson because I still want to finish that book, like I told you. I don't want to be a quitter. As I was saying, it seemed daunting, but it helped me so much, and you can even see how the pages get fuller because, I don't know, I guess I had even like this fear of if I draw too much, like will I run out of ideas? Will I like not have any more drawing in me? Which obviously is not true, but it's even the opposite. The more I draw, the more I want to draw. And recently I have seen like videos, or I mean I didn't watch them, but the thumbnail says like, oh, this is bad advice, don't draw every day. Here's live drawing again. And I don't agree. Drawing every day helps me a lot. I mean, not that I will be doing it forever. I don't think that. Maybe I won't even do it like for another month, but I really try. And even if like days in a year, maybe it's only like, I've only been drawing for like 320 or even 300, that's still a lot. And by the way, I don't aim to draw like an entire page. My aim is just to get one single line on the page. But then the hardest part really is starting. So once like your pen is on the page, you might as well do like a drawing or two, and then suddenly I start to get lost in it. And also I'm commuting a lot by train, so that's also where I have a lot of time. And I just got more confident with drawing in public, and I mean, people don't even really look at me. Sometimes I feel like I get like some weird looks, but I mean, what they're gonna do? And I try to not stare at people and draw them because I feel like some would get offended by that. But I don't know, I'm okay being like the weird artsy person. I haven't been talking about the sketches here too much, just kind of showing you. There's a lot of fungiary designs because this is like in February, or actually this was still in January. And I used the last few days of January to plan for Fungiary, because with like art challenges like that, and if you don't know, Fungiary is a challenge where there's a list of mushrooms, and for every day and for every mushroom you design a character. Yeah, more live drawing too. And I also, as you can see, started to draw these little thumbnails, and I really love them. So composition was something that a year ago I wasn't at all comfortable with. I felt like I was really lacking the skill to make like good compositions. And I think I've improved on that. I mean, not that I'm a master or anything, there's still more to learn always. But I do think my compositions have improved a lot. And I mean, part of it is just draw over and over again. And even if you draw the same thing over and over again, at some point you will start iterating on it and changing it. Also on an earlier page that I can quickly show again, or actually for 3 pages, I copied like a, I guess, some pages from an instructional book. There was a list of like different types of compositions, and I noticed I always kind of do the same thing. So that was really good to switch things up a bit. Also, I think it's really clear in these last few pages where I just started drawing every day that I got way more confident with drawing again compared to the first pages of the book. Drawing it's a skill, but I think it's also something you have to keep up with and train regularly. Sometimes even like when I look back at my old sketchbooks from when I was like 16 or something, sometimes I think the drawings are better than what I do now, because I was just drawing more at the time and more regularly, and my old sketchbooks used to look much more like these last pages, like with lots of little details and really no white spaces left. And that's honestly how I like my sketchbook to look, and I don't know, it makes me feel the best about my drawing, and I can just get lost in it, and once I start drawing I get the ideas, not the other way around. So I don't start with an idea, I just start drawing and then the ideas come to me. So if that's something you may be struggling with, then try drawing more and try sketching. Most importantly, just start. More thumbnails also, drawing some mermaids and just whatever comes to mind really. Even with these thumbnails, I don't really start with an idea, I just kind of start drawing and then maybe start drawing a landscape, and I have started to think, okay, how could I position a figure in this? How could I make an interesting little composition? Or just seeing where it takes me. I kind of want to take some of these thumbnails and finish them digitally, because there's quite a few that I like. And coming up with my own ideas when I'm in the mood to do a finished painting is kind of hard, but when I'm in the mood to just sketch, then I can generate some ideas and then kind of save them for later. I'm mostly sketching with pen and fine liners. I like to draw with this fountain pen, which may be an unusual choice for sketching, but I don't know, I like it. I think it's called the Artwork pen. I don't know the exact brand. And I also use fine liners, so mostly Muji and paper poetry ones, or I guess gel pens you would call them. Yeah, but I also like to switch it up once in a while and use, like I said, Tombos or polychromos or whatever. And here I really wanted to switch it up and splattered some paint and then closed the page and quickly opened it again so it would make this symmetrical pattern. Oh, and there you can see I drew a electrical circuit and wrote keep drawing all the things, because yeah, if you really can't think of what to draw, just draw whatever mundane thing is in front of you. On this day I suddenly decided to draw old-timey bikes and then kept with the bike theme a little bit. Yeah, the more I draw, the more I try to think of stuff that's maybe a bit different than what I usually do, so bodies in motion or animals, flowers. But I also still keep drawing the things that I know I like drawing. So like faces, landscapes, horses. Oh yeah, and this is the last page where I went a little bit crazy with colors and experimenting, and also drew a little lighthouse because that's the name brand. That's what Leuchtturm means. And that's it. I'm done with this book. And that's the book. Here's actually the one I'm using now. I made this one myself again, and I've gotten so comfortable with the A4 size, so I decided to make this one bigger as well. And even if I've somewhat gotten used to the Leuchtturm paper, I was really looking forward to making my own book again and choosing a paper that I like and that can handle water media. So I can show you this one when it's full. So if you enjoyed and you want a little bit of a deep dive into what I do and have a sneak peek at the projects I'm currently working on that I don't share publicly yet, or at least not in detail, then you might want to check out my Patreon. I also have a whole lot of more sketchbooks. Some of them I have filmed but not done voiceover yet. But we'll see. I have a big pile of 40 or more of them, and I don't know if I will post them all here on YouTube, or maybe just the more recent ones, and then maybe have an archive of all of them on Patreon. Because I also would like to have them all kind of digitally archived, just in case anything happens to them or I lose them, or if the paper disintegrates, which I would be very sad about because those books contain my entire life. Yeah, check out the Patreon, it's still pretty new. Check out my Instagram, which is where you can see most of my current artworks, and I often post the sketchbook page of the day in my stories. I have also made games that you can mostly play on itch. And here on YouTube, I mostly have very old videos, and most of them I have since decided to make private. Some of them are in German, some in English. But if I ever decide to post more often than every 3 years, then you can subscribe. Okay, bye!